Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So we'll be reading firstly from the Sri Caitanya Caritamrita, text 6. Malakara Swayam Krishna Prema Marataru Swayam Data Bhokta Tat Phalanam Yastam Chaitanyam Ashray. Prabhus?
Malakara Swayam Krishna Premataru Swayam
Malakara Swayam Krishna
Premataru Swayam Data Bhokta Tat Phalanam Yastam Chaitanyam Ashray.
Ideas?
Malakara Swayam Krishna Premataru Swayam
Malakara Swayam Krishna Prema Marataru Swayam Tata Bhakti Tat Phalanam Tas Malakara Gardener Swayam Krishna himself Krishna, Lord Krishna, Prema, love, Amara, transcendental, Taruhu, tree, Swayam, himself, Data, giver, Bhokta, enjoyer, Tatphalana, of all the fruits of that tree. Ya, one who, Tam, unto him, Chaitanyam, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Ashraye, I take shelter. Translation: I take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who himself is the tree of transcendental love of Krishna, its gardener and also the bestower and enjoyer of its fruits. So we'll talk a little bit about this verse and just bring everybody up to speed, and then after that we'll keep moving on until we reach text 7. So we are up to chapter 9 of the Caitanya Caritamrita of the Adi Lila, and this chapter, we are early in it, up to text 6 today, is titled The Tree of Devotional Service. So, and in this verse, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj, who is the author of the Caitanya Caritamrita, he is stating that I am taking shelter of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And also, he is being compared to a tree. That Lord Chaitanya, he is the tree of transcendental love of Krishna. He is also the gardener, and also he enjoys the fruits of this tree as well as distributes it to everyone. So, like I said, this chapter is titled The Tree of Devotional Service. So what's happening is there is an example being given of Lord Chaitanya and the whole Chaitanya tree, basically. So that first there was a seed, and then this seed was sown in Navadvip, and then this seed became a little plant, and this plant was taken to Jagannath Puri. And then, so we know this is Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, that he was first in Navadvip, and then from there he went to Jagannath Puri. And then this plant was then taken to Vrindavan. So the tree, the whole tree, and the trunk of the tree is compared to Lord Chaitanya, is basically Lord Chaitanya. The roots of the tree are 8 sannyasis, headed by Paramananda Puri. And from the main trunk, remember the main trunk as well as the whole tree is Lord Chaitanya. So from the main trunk there are 2 special branches, 2 main branches of Advaita Acharya and Lord Nityananda. And that this tree surrounds the entire world with all its many branches, and that the flowers of this tree are distributed to everyone in the world. So in a nutshell, this is basically what this chapter is covering. So when the flowers of this tree are distributed all over the whole world, it's distributed by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates, and it inundates the whole world like a flood, and it also intoxicates everyone, because remember, flowers are being distributed with a nice smell. So this is what we call Lord Chaitanya freely distributing love of Godhead. So moving on to text 7. Prabhu kahe ami Vishwambara namadhari nama sartakhahaya yadi preme Vishwabhari. Lord Chaitanya thought, my name is Vishwambara, one who maintains the entire universe. Its meaning will be actualized if I can fill the whole universe with love of Godhead. So that's self-explanatory, that Lord Chaitanya's name is Vishwambara, which basically means one who maintains the entire universe. And Lord Chaitanya has taken it upon himself, and he's saying that if I can fill this whole universe with love of Godhead, then the purport of my name, the meaning of my name, is actually truly going to be fulfilled. Eta chinti lailya prabhu malakara dharma navadvipe arambhila pralodhayana karma. So thinking in this way, he accepted the duty of a planter and began to grow a garden in Navadvip. So this is what Lord Chaitanya was thinking, to spread love of Godhead all over the universe, and he therefore accepted the duty of a planter and he began to grow a garden in Navadvip. So we know from our devotional life so far that devotional service is compared to a kripa, the bhakti lata. And the bhakti lata bij which means seed, is the starting of this. And that Lord Chaitanya is actually the gardener. He has taken it upon himself to become the gardener. And after planting this seed, he himself has become the whole tree. So he began to grow a garden in Navadvip, and he began to cultivate everyone there. This whole process of bhakti is very much like gardening. Even pulling out the weeds, and then the mad elephant offense, they're all compared to gardens. Like the mad elephant offense is basically the elephant comes, he's mad, and he uproots all the trees and all the seeds and all the plants, not just the weeds but also all the good plants. So the bhakti lata, the kripa of devotion, can actually be uprooted, and this is the first offense in chanting the holy names of the Lord, which is to blaspheme or criticize devotees who have dedicated their lives for spreading Krishna consciousness. Yes, okay, text 9. Shri Chaitanya Malakara Priti Vite Ani Bhakti kalpa taru ropila sinchi icha pani. Thus the Lord brought the desire tree of devotional service to this earth and became its gardener. He sowed the seed and he sprinkled upon it the water of his will. Perfect. In many places, devotional service has been compared to a creeper. One has to sow the seed of the devotional creeper, bhakti lata, within his heart. As he regularly hears and chants, the seed will fructify and gradually grow into a mature plant and then produce the fruit of devotional service, namely love of Godhead, which the gardener can then enjoy without impediments. So this is what I was just saying earlier, is that this devotional service in the scriptures many times has been compared to a creeper, and we sow this seed of this creeper, the bhakti lata bij, in our heart, and the seed is faith. So we get this faith by associating with other devotees who have faith. And then that faith comes into the heart by hearing. We get this faith and then we water it. And the water is hearing and chanting. So when we water the seed very carefully, by hearing from the right sources and by chanting without offenses, mainly the 10 offenses, which are recited every morning straight after Mangala Arati. So when we chant like that, and not forgetting chanting with attention, with full attention, because chanting with inattention is taken as the course of all the other offenses, all the other 10 offenses. So chanting with attention, chanting properly without and avoiding all the offenses, as well as hearing from the right sources. That this is actually really important, and this waters the seed of devotion in the heart. And then this seed will start growing and grow and grow and become a mature plant. And we know that along the process, along with plants, the weeds actually grow much quicker than the actual plant. That, you know, we, as a gardener, the gardener is always vigilant. So similarly, in our spiritual lives, we need to be very vigilant and keep uprooting these weeds, anarthas, unwanted things as they come. Keep uprooting these weeds as they come and avoiding all these offenses. So then the plant develops into a healthy, mature plant and then can produce the fruit of devotional service, namely love of Godhead. So by this process of devotional service, the goal, the fruit, is love of Godhead. That's actually the fruit. And love of Godhead means it's actually a really like elevated topic in many ways, but simply love of Godhead is to love Krishna without expecting anything in return, because we would have automatically the intrinsic faith that just by loving Krishna, automatically I will be taken care of. That I don't have to have any other agenda, such as achieving prestige or position or money or all of these things, without any sort of added agenda. Achieving love of Godhead is also described many places in the scriptures, especially by Rupa Goswami, that it has to be free from any tinges of material desire, that this is pure love of Godhead. And this is pure devotional service. So love of Godhead is the fruit of this tree, and then the gardener can then enjoy this love of Godhead without any obstacles or obstructions. So, so today is also Vyasa Purnima, which is the day where Srila Vyasadeva is honored and glorified. Speaking of hearing carefully, so in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in Canto 1, it's very clearly described who Srila Vyasadeva is, that he is Krishna's incarnation who appeared especially to write all these scriptures, and that Srila Vyasadeva, he wrote so many things, but he wasn't feeling very satisfied in his heart. So that's when Narad Muni came, and his spiritual master, and advised Srila Vyasadeva to write the Bhagavatam, because the Bhagavatam is full of direct stories about Krishna. This was completely satisfying to Srila Vyasadeva, and he wrote this. And this Bhagavatam is, as we know, is the cream of the Vedic scriptures. And when I'll be talking about Srila Sanatana Goswami a little later, I'll also tell a little pastime about the Bhagavatam there. So about Srila Vyasadeva and today's occasion of Vyasa Purnima. Purnima means the full moon, so today is a full moon night, and so glorifying Srila Vyasadeva is very important to know that, and tying it back to this purport is we have to hear carefully, we have to hear from the right source. So anybody who is representing Vyasadeva by trying to propagate this spiritual science, they have to be free from sinful activities. This is the standard. They have to be free from sinful activities, number one, and the main sinful activities are illicit sex, gambling, meat eating, and alcohol, tea and coffee. So following the four principles, this person must be. And secondly, that this person must be well versed in all the scriptures. In all the scriptures, the Mahabharata, the Ramayana, the Bhagavad Gita, the Caitanya Caritamrita, the Srimad Bhagavatam, all the scriptures. That this person needs to be well versed so that this person can properly explain. Otherwise, it is not going to be that potent, not going to have that much effect, not going to be that purifying. So these are the two qualifications of one who is trying to represent Srila Vyasadeva. So as the gardener, when we go to buy something for the garden from the shop, like fertilizer for example, we are careful to choose the right one. We are careful to select exactly what our garden needs. So in the same way, when we are choosing to hear from someone, it is our duty as the gardener to hear from the right sources. So this is the importance, the significance of Vyasa Purnima, and we glorify Srila Vyasadeva and we thank him for giving us all these scriptures. So, okay, now I will talk about Srila Sanatana Goswami. Okay, so it is Srila Sanatana Goswami's disappearance day today. Srila Sanatana Goswami, as we know, he is one of the 6 Goswamis. He is the eldest of the 6 Goswamis, and he is the older brother of Srila Rupa Goswami. He is 5 years older from Rupa Goswami. So their whole history is actually explained very, very in great detail about his whole family lineage. Basically, they came from a Saraswat Brahmin family from South India, and he appeared in the year 1488. He started his studies along with his 2 brothers, Rupa Goswami and Anupama. He started his studies from their maternal uncle's house near Gauradesh. So they were very intelligent. Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Sanatana Goswami, they were extremely learned. And hearing of this, like the whole place was under Muslim rule at that point in time. So hearing of this, the ruler, the Badshah Hussain Shah, he came and he approached them to become his ministers, to help him with his kingdom. So Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Sanatana Goswami, they didn't actually want to do this because they were from elevated Brahmin families, and to accept service of a Muslim ruler would externally mean to the general populace that they have lost their good qualities as Brahmanas, although we know that is not fact. So however, out of compassion and out of fear, they accepted these positions, because the Badshah had threatened to kill all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord if these two brothers didn't accept the positions of minister. So they did, and then okay, going back to their childhood then, these three brothers, they had great devotion to the Lord right from the very beginning. And when they would play as children, they would play all the pastimes. Like their play would actually not be just general play, but they would actually play all the spiritual pastimes that had happened in Vrindavan. And they took up, they started living at this place called Ramakeli, which is a very beautiful village, it's described. And here they planted all these auspicious trees to give their home, their area of living, a Vrindavan mood, such as Tulasi and Kadamba and Tamal trees. They also had their bathing spots, they called them Shamakund and Radhakund. And in these pleasing surroundings, they always remained very absorbed in Krishna's pastimes. So they eventually heard about Lord Chaitanya, and they really wanted to meet Lord Chaitanya very desperately. Lord Chaitanya at this time, he was at Jagannath Puri. So they sort of got indication, not right now, wait for now. So eventually, in 5 years' time, Lord Chaitanya actually came and visited Ramakeli. And it's described very in a lot of detail in the Caitanya Caritamrita, this whole journey of Lord Chaitanya and how he came and how he met Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. So, wait a minute, let me see if I can find a little bit more detail of that pastime. So, when Lord Chaitanya came and he met these two brothers at Ramakeli, they bowed down to him immediately. They offered him obeisances, and when they got up, they actually physically had straw in their mouth. They were both biting on a bit of straw. And the reason for this is it's an indication of their great humility, because they are saying to Lord Chaitanya that by accepting the service of this Muslim ruler, we have become so fallen. We have become really fallen, and yet you are so kind, Lord Chaitanya, that you have accepted us as your followers. So oftentimes we hear this, that sometimes, when we beg for forgiveness, we say, with straw in my teeth, I'm begging for forgiveness. So this is actually what it means, that it's a sign that you are considering yourself really fallen. We know that, of course, Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Sanatana Goswami were highly elevated, eternal, Nitya Siddha devotees, which means eternally devotees of the Lord, eternally perfect. And they came just to help the Lord with his mission to this earth planet. So, So one more thing happened when Lord Chaitanya met the two brothers at Ramakeli is that he actually discussed with them like what the political situation there was at that point. And based on the advice Rupa and Sanatana Goswami gave him, he decided not to go to Vrindavan at that point in time but to go later. So he accepted the advice because Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami were living at that spot, and they knew, it's described in the Caitanya Caritamrita, that they knew in more detail what the climate, what the political climate of the place was. So he took the advice. So this is very interesting as to how practical Lord Chaitanya was. Okay, so one time Srila Sanatana Goswami, when he was still young, he had a dream. And in this dream, he saw a devotee coming and giving him a Bhagavatam set, a Srimad Bhagavatam. And he got extremely happy in his dream. And then his dream finished. He woke up and he saw that the Brahman and the Bhagavatam were both not there. And he became very sad. That very next morning, he had taken his bath and he had sat down and done all his puja. Then a Brahman actually appeared carrying the Bhagavatam. The Brahman said, "Take this Bhagavatam, study it, and all perfection will be yours." Saying this, the Brahmana gave him the Bhagavatam and went away. Srila Sanatana Goswami's ecstasy knew no bounds. He was extremely happy. And he would only study the Bhagavatam from that day on. He left aside all the other scriptures because he accepted the Bhagavatam to be the essence of all scriptures. So he offers his respects to the Bhagavatam by saying, "O holy Bhagavata, you are my only company, my only friend and my guru. You are my greatest treasure, my personal savior, the emblem of my highest fortune, the very form of ecstasy. I offer my obeisances to you." So as I was saying earlier, when we were talking about this purport from the Caitanya Caritamrita of text 9, that the Bhagavatam is the cream of all the scriptures. And here we see Sanatana Goswami, whose disappearance date is today, glorifying the Bhagavatam and accepting it as his very life and soul. And glorifying it, saying, "You are my only friend, my guru, greatest treasure, personal savior, emblem of my highest fortune, and the very form of ecstasy." Okay. So now let's talk about some other pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, of Srila Sanatana Goswami. There are so many wonderful, wonderful pastimes of Sanatana Goswami, and we don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to speak. Okay. So one, as we know, that Srila Sanatana. Okay. So what happened is Srila Rupa Goswami was. So they decided after meeting Lord Chaitanya gave the Goswami's instructions, some very specific instructions on what to do, and he accepted them as his followers. So after this, what happened? The two brothers, they became more reclusive, more internal, and they would spend more and more time at home reading the scriptures, discussing it, and doing devotional service, and not going to work. So the Badshah became very concerned because he depended hugely on these two brothers. And he looked after them very well materially. He gave them lots and lots and lots of wealth. He really looked after them very well in terms of material possessions. So Srila Rupa Goswami, he was able to escape. But Srila Sanatana Goswami got caught. So what happened is, because he didn't come to work a few days in a row, the Badshah sent his servants to check on Sanatana Goswami. And also a doctor was sent to have a look. And when the doctor went back and told the Badshah that he's actually not sick, then the Badshah himself came and spoke to Sanatana Goswami. And Sanatana Goswami said that I'm not going to be able to continue with the service of being a minister in your kingdom. So the Badshah then imprisoned him. And to escape, then there's a very nice story of how he actually escaped, because he had 2 guards and he was in prison, and then somehow or the other he got word that Rupa Goswami had left some money with a grocer, and he was able to then bribe the guards with this, and he ran away. And then when he ran away, it wasn't just smooth sailing. He actually went to this inn to stay, and then because his servant Ishan still had a bit of gold on him, they were nearly killed for that. After a lot of hardship, traveling on his journey, he managed to reach Lord Chaitanya. And okay, so that's one pastime. Okay, let's talk about the books that Srila Sanatana Goswami has compiled. So there is the Hari Bhakti Vilas, which explains the proper duties and correct behavior for Vaishnavas. And Lord Chaitanya himself instructed Sanatana Goswami to write this scripture. And Sanatana Goswami is saying, I don't have any knowledge of good behavior. How is it possible for me to write directions about Vaishnava activities? He is discussing this with Lord Chaitanya. And then he is requesting Lord Chaitanya, please personally tell me how I can write this difficult book. Please manifest yourself within my heart and direct me in personally writing this book. So Lord Chaitanya said to him, whatever you want to do, you will be able to do correctly by Lord Chaitanya's favor, by Lord Krishna's favor. He will manifest the real purport. So then he actually gave very detailed answers on what to write in the books, like very, very detailed, like doing service to a spiritual master, putting tilak in 12 places on the body. Describe how to decorate the body with gopi chandan, wear neck beads, all these things. Describe deity worship, the characteristics of the deities, all of those things. So he gave Sanatana Goswami very, very detailed instructions on what to write in the scriptures. So these scriptures are really wonderful, and if we can get to read them, that would really really sort of boost our spiritual lives and give us a lot more understanding and association with these Goswamis. Okay, then that's just one book that Sanatana Goswami wrote. He did write many others. Okay, let's tell very briefly the story of Sanatana Goswami and Madan Mohan. Because Sanatana Goswami's deity was Madan Mohan, and this deity, how he came to Sanatana Goswami is extremely interesting. So their first encounter was Sanatana Goswami was walking along the banks of the Yamuna river, going to get himself some ingredients, like going to beg for some flour and get some Yamuna water and make his usual meal. So he was going to do this, and then he saw some boys playing, and one boy in particular, when he saw Sanatana Goswami, he came to him and said, "Oh father, Baba, please take me with you. I want to go with you." "Why do you want to come with me, little boy?" "I want to stay with you." "But if you stay with me, what will you eat?" "What do you eat?" the little boy asked Sanatana Goswami. "I only eat some dry chapatis and some coarse rice." "Then I will also eat that, Baba." "Even if you eat like that, you can't stay with me. You must stay with your mother and father." "But Baba, I want to stay with you." So Sanatana Goswami then explained that no, you should stay with your parents, and then he continued. That night the boy appeared to him in a dream, and the boy was laughing, and he took Sanatana's hand and he told him, "Baba, my name is Madan Mohan. Tomorrow I shall come to you." So saying this, Madan Mohan disappeared, and then Sanatana Goswami woke up. He was extremely ecstatic. He felt as though his soul had been stolen from his body. "What have I seen? I have never seen such a beautiful boy." When he opened the door to his kutir, he found that standing in the doorway was a beautiful, wonderful murti of Sri Madan Mohan. This deity was so beautiful that it filled the 4 directions with its effulgence. Sanatana Goswami was stunned for some time, and then he began to worship the deity. Okay. So then there are also so many pastimes, like the salt pastime, and the deity is saying to Sanatana Goswami, "You're just giving me dry chapatis." And Sanatana Goswami said, "Well, today you're asking for salt, tomorrow you'll be asking for ghee. I'm just a poor person. Lord Chaitanya has told me to go around and excavate the holy places and write these scriptures. I don't have time to beg for salt as well as the flour that I'm already begging for." He said like this, right, to his deity, because this is the mood that they had, just a lot of love in that kind of mood. But inside he was feeling sad. He was feeling sad that he wasn't able to give his deity salt. So understanding these internal feelings, and he actually told Madan Mohan, if you want salt, you make your own arrangements. So Madan Mohan did. What he did is he made a salt merchant's boat get stuck in the Yamuna, because it was the dry season, and this boat got stuck, and the salt merchant came to Sanatana Goswami and said, "Can you please help? I need to." And Sanatana Goswami is actually quite lean because he eats so little, and so Sanatana Goswami said, I don't really think I can help, and I don't really know much about all these material affairs. Why don't you talk to Madan Mohan? So the merchant talked to Madan Mohan and said, "Please help me free my boat," and all of that. So that night there was a huge big rain, and the Yamuna rose and the boat became free. So and that boat was actually a salt barge. So Madan Mohan got, and this merchant, he sold his salt. He sold it, he got a lot of money, and he donated all of this, and then this constructed the Madan Mohan temple. So the Madan Mohan temple is the first temple in Vrindavan. And one very special thing about Madan Mohan deity is that he is the Sambandha deity, which means he is the starting. So there's the Sambandha Abhignaya Prayojana, so which is the relationship, the devotional service, and the goal of the devotional service. So which is so Madan Mohan deity, his special characteristic is that he's extremely beautiful, and he attracts us, and he starts off our devotional life. So this is why Sanatana Goswami, he is described as the guru of everyone, because he brings everyone, he connects everyone by the Sambandha. Sambandha means relationship. So Sanatana Goswami is actually accepted as the guru of everyone because of his deity and his role as the Sambandha Acharya. Okay, then last pastime is Sanatana Goswami. He as he got older and older, he left the care of his deity to his servant, and he went to live at Chakleshwar, near Chakleshwar Mahadev at Govardhan, near Manasi Ganga. And even though he was really old, like 65 years old, and that's a ripe old age for people who in that era, so he would still circumambulate Govardhan every day. And then Giriraj appeared to him in a dream and said, "You are getting so old and you are taking so much difficulty to walk around. Please don't do this anymore." And Sanatana Goswami said, "No, I have to. It's part of my daily sadhana. How can I live without circumambulating Govardhan?" So Giriraj then gave him, Krishna then gave him a Giriraj Shila, which to this day is being worshipped at the Radha Damodar Temple in Vrindavan. And he told Sanatana Goswami that just circumambulate this Shila 4 times, and that will be the equivalent of you circumambulating Govardhan. So Sanatana Goswami, he left this world on this day many years ago. He was about 70 years old, and at Govardhan, where Sanatana Goswami spent his last few years, on this day of Guru Purnima, people actually walk around and surprisingly, they circumambulate Govardhan Hill. And what is surprising to me is that they actually know Sanatana Goswami, and they are thinking of him. They are not thinking so much. They know it is Guru Purnima, and mainly they are definitely connecting it with Sanatana Goswami, because it is described in the scriptures also that Sanatana Goswami, he was, like I said, he was like the Guru to everyone, but also he had no enemies like the rest of the 6 Goswamis. He was the friend to everyone. And when they would travel, Rupa and Sanatana, when they would travel from one place to another in the holy dham, they would ask about the welfare. They would sit down at people's homes and actually ask them, how are you, Baba? How is your mother? How is your occupation going? How are your children? He would ask about the welfare of all of this. So from this, we also need to learn how to be personal in our dealings, because what happened then is everybody, and Sanatana Goswami very genuinely asked about all of this. So everyone loved him, everyone accepted him as their friend, their well-wisher, their mentor, and their guru. So yes, this sentiment is still very prominent. Okay, I will stop here, and if there are any additional comments or questions or anything, any suggestions, ideas, if anyone would like to say anything, please speak now.
Maybe that Govardhan Shiva that Krishna gave to Sanatana, these 200 as well.
Oh yes, thank you, Prabhu. Yes. That's a really nice point, that the Govardhan Shila that was given to Sanatana Goswami wasn't just ordinary. Krishna stood on it and he left the imprint of his footprint on it. Also, it is said that that it has all these marks of the flute and the lotus on it as well. So yeah, here it is. So then Sri Krishna presented him a stone from Govardhan Hill with the imprint of his foot, a calf's footprint, and the impressions of a stick and a flute on it. Baba, this is a Govardhan Shila. What will I do with this? You can circumambulate this Shila, and that will be the same as circumambulating Giri Govardhan. Saying this much, the cowherd boy disappeared. Then Sanatana could understand that Giriraj himself had presented his worshipable form to him, and from that day he would circumambulate this Shila. Okay.
If you have to give a donation at the Govardhana Temple, and you're fortunate, and the pujaari will bring out that Shila Shurti.
Wow. I hope everyone heard that. So, if you go to the Sri Radha Damodar Temple in Vrindavan, and sometimes if you're very fortunate and you give a donation, the pujari will show the Govardhan Shila with these marks. Jai Shri Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Sanatana Goswami ki jai, Hari Hari Bol, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanandi.